broadcast who has graciously invited all these three.
I'm Dan Gibson here, as always, the co-host of the Reverend Reprobate Show. We have April.
Y'all are.
She's a guitar player, and Jake has written a great pamphlet.
He has. It's a very long pamphlet, but it's wonderful stuff.
How is my show already stolen? I just don't.
Yeah, just jump right back in, April.
So,
hey, April, you were like, "Hey, we should do a pop-up interview with these two guys." You should not have done that.
Yeah, no, I get that now. I'm reeling it back in.
Take back over. We're only 1 minute in.
Jake's gone. Jake got tired of it already.
He's out.
Jake, we can't hear you.
Yep. Yeah.
He's coming back.
We can't see him. He escaped. Like within 5 seconds, he's out, man. He's out.
Yep,
what do you guys normally mess with him as? Like, what do you do to that poor boy?
I don't know. We don't do anything. We're fairly innocent when it comes to just human beings in general. That's typically how we're described.
But we're not innocent. We both are covered in the blood of so.
Right.
There's a lot of silence that just happened right then.
There is. I was really surprised that Danley used some kind of theological thing. And so that silence was organic, stunned silence from Danley's podcasting partner. And
well, it's funny, and I'm seeing as we're on your guys' streaming platforms. I actually had no clue which one was the Reverend and which one was the reprobate. They had to explain that to me.
Not me.
No, we knew exactly who it was. And April, thanks for being on our show.
You are. I still believe that the titles are switched now. You know that, right?
Yeah. Well, it's what it really is it's a long-term friendship, and one of us ended up staying with ministry, and Danley started a family, and the Lord just kind of led him in a different direction. Oh, we've switched.
Hey, Jake's back.
Hey, Jake. Later, Jake's back again.
Hey,
it's like winter time.
What is he doing right now? You are making all of our audiences sick right now with what you're doing.
I wasn't doing anything. I don't know how to work this.
Jake, it does happen sometimes that audio drops out, and when you start a podcast, it does happen.
Yep.
So no worries.
We're all good.
Yeah, I have a sensitive system. You touch one little chord, it all breaks down.
Oh, I thought you meant you were like gluten-free or something.
That's what I thought he was going to say.
Oh my goodness!
Like, I didn't think this was a show about food allergies.
No. So April, we were wondering. One of the reasons we had you on tonight is because we know that you are an author. You're a talented guitar player. Talk to us a little bit about how you got your start in music. What's that been like for you?
Oh, brother!
A concert soon too.
Yeah.
So, yes, I have been a songwriter for 20 years or so. Just a few years ago, though, I actually stepped out and went public and did some self-publishing of my music, released my first music album. I have my first book that I released. Also, I'm an author. I have my own podcast show that I am the host of. And I do broadcast live feeds. Typically, I'm on here reading God's word, and so this is definitely out of what I normally do. But it's interesting. Music-wise, though, I can play chord structures on a piano, and I can do the song arrangements, and I can take that into a studio and have professionals tend to actually putting down the music. So I can do that. My daughter is the guitarist though. So
okay.
We would have to convince her to go on video, and I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. So
let's do it. I will cheer her on. We can give some lessons over. Lucas and I were in a band. That's how we know each other.
Yeah, little known fact, Danley used to play guitar for me years ago. Yeah. And then I was replaced by his wife and kid. And so at that point, I determined the best thing for me to do was follow the Lord's calling to Canada, since all my friends in the United States abandoned me.
That's what happened. He
Yeah.
became a missionary to Canada.
I did. So I went to a place where people would readily apologize for their own behavior, since Danley would not. So, yeah, he broke my guitar, he broke my motorcycle, and
All of
I
these
left
are
to a place where people would apologize.
And
And he broke your heart.
There are-
He did.
Yeah.
He did. He did.
There are true stories behind all of these. I broke
Yeah.
I didn't break your motorcycle, but I did dump it.
You did. Yeah. Yep. And you nearly hurt my feeling, and that's when I was like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta
The
go to
one
a place.
that you
Going
have.
to Canada.
Yes. Yeah. Now that's in possession of my wife. She's had it for about the last year, and she uses it a lot like a voodoo doll. She'll take it out of her purse, and she's got a little pin. She's like, I'm gonna hurt your feeling if you don't do the dishes. And so I comply readily. It's been a great first year of marriage, and it seems very biblical the way that we're approaching this. She
Especially
is not,
with the voodoo doll, yeah.
yeah, for sure. Well, she's from Louisiana, so there's a lot of mixing there. But you know, it just keeps
one
us
side of
young.
her purse, she's got your
What
feeling.
was your
the other
band
side,
name?
Shrimp etouffee.
What was our band name?
Yeah.
The
what
one
was it called?
feeling.
Yeah, our band name was
We were in
Josh
several
Doberman and the Pound Puppies, and
Yeah.
we did a lot of we were a lot like the Ventures. We did a lot of like theme songs for children's shows specifically.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had a lot of superhero theme music going on in the background, right?
Yeah, lots of ice cream shooting from fingers, things like that. Just typically stuff that kids like.
That sounds fun. Kids do
Yeah,
like ice cream.
It was
They
great.
like it.
Kids love ice cream. Type 2 diabetes is real though, so be careful, brush and floss and all that
It
stuff.
is.
You know?
It is real.
It's
It
no
was
joke.
Ballad of Super Jake was our #1 hit.
It was not as much romance as some of the other things that we wrote, but very dramatic storyline.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
So April, how long have you been married?
I'm going on 5 years. So
congrats.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah. There's still those moments like any good wife does where she has to take one of those like hardcover Bibles. Just, the man really needs to focus on the word. And so you get the hardcover Bible instead of the frying pan.
There you go.
And it's like that gets them to focus directly on the word. Can you imagine?
I'm still on the children's Bible.
He is. He does really good though with the pictures. Now we're trying to get him to color in the lines. It's a little troublesome, but for the most part, he's been really great.
Really?
Yeah, we'll get you the comic Bible. What's the next step?
Yeah, actually, I'm in the senior citizens class at his church.
That's true. Danley does. He's part of the seniors class at our church.
No joke. And we're going through. What's the name of the book? It's a Lifeway something.
Yeah, Bible Studies for Life.
Yeah,
Bible Studies for
my
Life.
Lifeway. Yep. I think is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I have actually skipped the adult Bible and we're straight to the senior citizens, which comes with some worth of originals.
Yeah, he just needed 2 Bibles with large print and pictures, so he went from the kids' Bible straight to the seniors' Bible for that reason.
Yep.
Gotcha.
He's very pragmatic.
I vote that we turn this back over to April now.
All right.
Well, I want to take a second and seriously thank you all for being on the broadcast today, because this is a phenomenal opportunity to really highlight what y'all do live and in living color. I haven't even had to ask you any questions about your podcast show because you've given the example of what your podcast show is.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that was like a round of applause. Very good job. Very good job. But Jake's over here sitting here just chilling and, taking what he's got, given to him and dished out and all that jazz. But what is it that Jake does? You want to share with him, Jake?
Yeah, I do a lot of things.
Pull up, push-ups.
Yeah. Well, not quite in that area, but so currently I am an associate minister at my church. And I teach middle school debate. And then for the fun stuff, I'm a podcaster and I write and things. I have several published plays and now a new published book. So I just like to explore all those different kinds of creative endeavors. That's sort of what I do, I suppose. A man of many hats. lots of juggling.
And how did you meet these two weirdos down here? I mean, these guys.
We just showed up.
Probably through the podcast.
Why was there such a hesitation? What is with this story between all three of y'all?
Yeah.
No, I think it was through the Christian Podcast Association and the WandaVision recap episode back in the day, as in like a month or two ago.
It was years ago.
Yeah. Several years ago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay. So all of y'all are under 30 or something. Is that what I'm hearing?
No.
I'm under 30.
I know Jake is, and that's why he's talking like that. But why are you two talking like that?
Yeah, I'm
like WandaVision?
No, about back in the day only being a month.
All ages. That's an all ages.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think Danley and I, we're both 85 models, right?
Yeah.
So we're mid 30s. We started podcasting because of the midlife crisis.
Right.
And it hit us really, really hard. And we realized we weren't getting much of a following in the general market. And so we just decided, you know what, we'll throw Jesus in there, go the Christian route. Jake was one of our first fans. It was great having him on board. He gave us a wonderful review on Podchaser. And after that, we asked him to come onto our WandaVision show. He was incredible. Didn't tell us that he wrote plays. This is new news to us. But that's how we met each other. And the hesitation, I think, is probably because, if I were to guess, we don't want anyone else associated with what we're doing because the implications it could have moving forward.
Exactly. I got you. Yeah.
We actually tell people not to listen to our show.
We're not very good. And
well, also, the only person that you had on as a guest so far, it sounds like, was your one and only fan. So
it's true. But he did such a great job that we decided we would try it again. And even after he turned us down, it's the same thing we did with our wives. We begged and we pleaded, and we couldn't turn over our feeling. Yeah. That's it. So.
Lie. That was a lie.
We're trying to figure out what Jake likes to eat so that we can start cooking him dinners, and hopefully after that we'll be able to continue to build what I think will be a very productive relationship.
Yep.
Well, I thought we already had that discussion. Wasn't it ice cream?
That's true. But fingertip ice cream.
Dinner, but it's definitely something I'm known to eat. So
where's your sense of adventure? Where's your fervor for life? Ice cream for dinner is the way to go. If people can have pancakes for dinner, ice cream for dinner really sounds like the best route.
I mean, I won't say I haven't had that for dinner. We do. My wife and I don't have kids, so dinner is, whatever we kind of feel like. We don't feel like we have the pressure to cook something fancy.
Yeah.
So I got a question. Has anyone ever eaten cereal for dinner?
Oh,
so many times.
Okay. Has anyone ever taken cereal and milk and combined it with ice cream?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I've done that.
Raise your hand if that's like the most awesome thing.
It's pretty good.
Cereal on top of my ice cream. I didn't add milk.
Really? You didn't do the whole thing?
Well, there's an ice cream place in Oklahoma City that their fancy thing is they put cereal on ice cream, and the ice cream's not that good. I don't recommend them. I gave them a scathing 3-star Google review, so
we have tons of comments coming through here. Courtney's asking if y'all do guest performances for birthday parties. And Cammy's asking, are we allowed to raise our hands? Yes, you are.
Yes,
you are.
Please raise your hands like you don't care.
Oh my god!
We won't know, but
yeah.
Just raise your hand. Just keep them raised. That would be the best thing to do.
I don't think Courtney doesn't believe y'all about Danley being mostly innocent. What's that up? What's going on here?
So there's a funny story about Courtney.
That's why.
Yeah. Courtney
I know Courtney. All joking aside.
Yeah, and she's at that point in her second pregnancy where she's experiencing pregnancy brain. So she's saying things that don't make a lot of sense.
Oh, really?
And she's a great gal. It's just it's a hard time.
Have you actually had personal experience with that?
For Courtney,
with pregnancy brain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my wife
I've been on the
prefers that.
receiving end of pregnancy brain.
Yeah. My wife prefers that I'm barefoot and pregnant. That's how our marriage operates. She was very pleased when she found out I only had a size 9 foot, because that means I could stand closer to the sink and to the stove. It's a lot, but I'm just very thankful for her, and she gives really clear instructions, so I appreciate it.
Right. Delegation's important.
Yeah. It is. I love you, honey. If you're watching, and I'm sorry for whatever it is this time that I did.
I'm just gonna say this. That right there is the best part of this whole podcast. I'm publicly apologizing.
Yeah.
Did you say? Can you just say, each of you, let's practice this? And I know your audience is gonna love this. Just repeat after me. You are right, honey, and that's out to your wives. Just say it.
You are right, honey.
You're honey.
Wrong. See, reprobate.
Yeah.
Me.
Yes.
You were so close.
So almost had it.
So Courtney's saying y'all know about pregnancy brain, and she's over here laughing. So
we know about pregnancy brain. Mm-hmm. Again, mid-30s, right? We know about it.
Yeah.
Been around it.
How many shows have you guys done on your podcast?
How many good ones?
Zero good ones.
Oh, I was going to give you at least 2.
No, Jake, that's very kind, but please, let's not exaggerate.
So how many bad ones?
I really don't know. There was a time that we kept count, and we had a couple of really bad ones in the beginning. This is true. Where I'm breaking character a little bit. We had a couple in the beginning that were really bad, and then we counted them until we started getting some better ones, and then we went, okay, we'll just erase the first 2, and so we had to do this math of, okay, we've done 10, so that means 8 because we've only released them. So I've lost count now. I don't know. Probably 20 maybe.
Well, in our published episodes that we've got on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube, we're around 30. And then if you include a lot of the stuff that we've done with our Friday night stuff, we're probably pushing closer to 40 or 50 now. If you were to look at where we started from where we are now, we've probably recorded close to 100 episodes, but we haven't released that because we did spend a little bit of time honing what very little talent we had. So we showed some of our friends. They told us we were bad at it, but we just kept plugging along, and then we started releasing things, and people have really responded. They've continued to not listen to our podcast, and it's been great.
It is no joke that we do tell everybody not to listen. At the end of our interviews, we ask all of our guests to give us a sign off where we say, hey, can you tell our audience not to listen to our show? And
specifically why they shouldn't.
Yeah, so we have a montage of guests that telling people not to listen to our show. Some of them go really big with it, where they'll make up stuff. They'll say, we've had some people say that we've transitioned. We shouldn't don't listen to these guys. We've had people tell us that we had a comedian say that we obviously weren't social distancing, so you need to cancel these guys. Don't listen to them. So we really do. We tell everyone not to listen to our show, and it's given us a lot of joy. Actually, it's pretty fun.
I see.
I don't know if you can tell, but we're kind of both pranksters, so we like playing around.
Okay, so what can an audience expect from you guys, though, if they do just so happen, the last thing on earth that they could possibly have to do in the course of a day, tune into your show?
Oh, man, they must be bored.
I know, right? So, what can they expect, though, if they just accidentally press that play button?
Right. So if you've decided to ignore my pastoral advice and listen to our show, 1, you need absolution. But 2, I think it depends on which show you're looking at. If you're looking at our Friday night show that we do, we've got a couple of great people that co-host that with us. Ricky Pope from Christian Nerds Unite helps with that. And that show on Friday night is called The Rev and Rep Spoils. And so we started off spoiling WandaVision, where we did a review the same day that it came out. And now we're doing The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But Ricky Pope from the Christian Nerds Unite, Ashley Cox from Fangirling Over Jesus, they come on and lend a lot of stuff. So that is really what gets, the nerd gears in our head going. As far as The Reverend and the Reprobate, the main show, it's absolute. Courtney says, I always expect absolute chaos that ends in hilariously awkward moments. That's kind of it.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but we get to do it with really awesome people. I mean, if you were to look at the tag for our show, is two best friends interviewing people that they have no business talking to, and that's really what it is. We had the pleasure a couple of weeks ago of talking with Seth Dillon, who's the CEO of the Babylon Bee. That episode aired this past week. We've got Nancy Piercy, who's the scholar in residence at Houston Baptist University. She's the scholar of apologetics for them. She was a student of Francis Schaeffer's. Like, she's going to forget more stuff than combined Danley and I are ever going to know.
I've never felt as dumb as when
my gosh,
talking to her, and I just felt like a giant idiot.
Yeah. But the thing is, she's like so gracious and so kind that at the end of all of our shows, we do this segment called Controlled Rowdiness, where we just ask a bunch of rapid fire questions. A lot of times in the questions, we'll just straight up tell the guests that they're wrong in the way that they answered it, and we'll answer the question for them. We asked Brett and Aaron Kunkel from Maven. We said, what's the best Rick Moranis movie? Spaceballs or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And they're like, oh, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And Danley interrupts him. He's like, wrong, it was Ghostbusters. So there's a lot of that just kind of ridiculousness that's in there. But one of the things we asked Nancy Piercy, because she was so sweet, is, what's the nicest way to tell somebody that they're wrong? Because we were just thinking she was going to refer back to things she had previously said in the interview. As she's looked at both of us, she's like, you boys are so sweet and have some great ideas. Here's what I really meant. I'm like, all right, thanks. So I think it depends on the guest. We've got some people that, like Nancy Piercy, Stephen Mansfield, who is a very high intellectual guy, and they've come on the show and been great. We've had a lot of comedians, which I think for what we've done, those are the most fun for us, I think, for our audience, though they're typically not as informative. So it is, Courtney probably summed it up the best, that it's chaotic, it's hilarious, it's super awkward, and it really is, it's more of a peek into our friendship of what it's like just sitting around talking to us. And if somebody has made the mistake of coming on our show, then they get to join into that friendship for better or for worse, and it's pretty great.
I think that's the best way to say it. That really, we talked about when we started that it was a midlife crisis. There's probably some truth to that, but it was in the pandemic, and like I was in a dark spot. Just being transparent, it was dark. It was hard. And Lucas mentioned, is like, hey, I want to start a podcast, and we were throwing some stuff around. And that really brought me out, reigniting this friendship and driving out to the studio at least once a week to shoot this thing. It really helped me a lot. So,
Danley's being very flattering. I was actually Danley's second choice to do this podcast with. He wanted to start it with another friend. And that guy slowly and gently turned Danley down. And after that's what caused his depression and his dark spot, is he was turned down by somebody he would rather have done the podcast with. And Danley's wife turned to him and she was like, well, there's always Lucas. And so that's, that's how it started.
Last resort,
he's been to the doorstep for the last 6 months.
And it's been great. I'm so honored to get to work for Danley on this podcast. It's been just a tremendous pleasure. He's a wonderful supervisor and a great friend.
I am.
So Heather is actually on the feed right now, and I'm just gonna let you know right now that Lucas has informed her that you said that she was wrong, honey. So just so everybody's on the same page here.
Yep.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But Courtney is trying to help you out, brother.
We're good.
Yeah.
Did you say 13?
13 years.
Nice. Congratulations. That's good.
Thank you.
Check that off the list of things to do. He beat the decade mark, folks.
Yeah. It was one of my favorite things about this past year has not just been podcasting with Danley, but since I got married, Danley's wife has allowed me to hang out with them again, which has been just a tremendous honor and pleasure. I got to meet their son for the first time, which was great. He's a wonderful young guy.
I
So
don't believe a word
that's
you're
pretty
saying
awesome.
because of his
Young guy.
response over
Good,
here.
good, don't.
Yeah, so I'm just curious though, Lucas. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
put you on blast right now. You know,
come on.
you said that your wife loves to have you barefoot and pregnant all the time. So
Yes.
how does that work when you're over there visiting with Heather? I mean, does Heather actually appreciate that too, just as much? I mean, that's
Well,
helpful
my
to
wife is
her.
yeah, my wife is always there. She has on the calendar, she's got supervised visits
Yeah.
with Danley and Heather where she supervises my time that I get with them. And it's briefly on Sunday nights just for a few hours. But it's enough and we cherish that time.
That's good. Are you over there?
Yeah.
Can you
He's
actually
so good
like
at
put
things.
that time, that hour or so investment to help her do her dishes too?
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Oh.
I wouldn't dare do anything but that, because, like I said, my wife is there with my feeling in her purse, and so if in her priority ranking, she likes Heather the most, and then Danley and Heather's son, and then Danley, and then the puppies that Danley is fostering, and then Danley's 2 dogs that he has, and then the lizard that his son has. And then
The
her
rabbit.
yeah, she really likes the rabbit. She likes
Oh, wow.
she likes my car, and somewhere in that mix, when I'm useful, I get to do the things she's asked me to do. So
April, can I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Were,
Heather's
were,
asking though, but did you take out the trash?
yes, I did.
were you expecting this amount of information?
Oh yeah, no, I figured so. With the way you guys are doing this little number, I figured there's gonna be all sorts of kinds of stuff, and it was all over the place. But
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Jake to like take some initiative and just dive right into this conversation.
Jake, you just gotta go, I wrote a book.
I just do what I'm told. You know?
I wrote a book about masks.
Yeah.
No. So go ahead.
No, I was about to try and run our show again, but April, if you want this to be your thing, you go for it.
Boy. Don't make me go Oklahoma on your Texas booty. Just saying.
What does that mean? Just mooch off of us?
No. You notice things in Texas are always, they're just overcompensating, overarching type of stuff. They just try, try to make things bigger than they.
Hey, Vic, can I call you back in just a little bit? We're still in the middle of this interview. They're talkers.
It's big time over here.
All right. Yeah. All right. Hugs and kisses. Mwah. Bye.
See, he does love his wife because he answers the phone when she calls.
Was that his wife, or was that the garbage man, or something?
Or was that
was Victor Dweck.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jake, seriously though, like fill the audience in on your book, brother. I mean, like while there's a breather in between these two, or I can click over here, which is bam, and we're gonna take this out. We're gonna take this out, and we're gonna take this out.
Oh my!
Oh
no, it's all me. That's terrible.
That's what happens when you had directorship behind scenes, yo.
You're powerful. My goodness.
But you guys know.
Well, what's going on? Give them. Oh no. Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
But you're muted.
3 seconds of freedom.
You can't say nothing.
That I have here. Yeah. I don't know. I wrote a book. It feels weird to be all self-promo-y. It's called Who We Are, 7 Christian Identities That Shape Your Life. Just came out yesterday, and it's kind of crazy. It's certainly not as fun and exciting as, this kind of thing that we're doing and their podcast. But, yeah, it's a little something I put together over the last year. So, yeah, it's cool, I suppose.
Hey, don't undersell it. We've been joking around, but I'm really proud that you wrote that book, and this is your second one. Again, that is an accomplishment to be celebrated.
Yes.
All joking aside, we're having a lot of fun, but that's awesome. I'm proud of you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So you delve into, obviously, let's just do the author bit here for a second, and we can encourage you along in it, because it doesn't look like you really like talking about your book too much. You just sort of want it to sell itself, so we'll talk about it for you. Does that sound good?
Sure.
It's 112 pages.
It is.
Yes.
Gotcha.
It's a short little thing.
Very, very prompt. It's a study tool type of thing. It's got like
Right.
seven, right? Different identities that you
7
cover.
different identities.
Right. And so each, Christian, right? This is for the Christian audience. Is that where I'm at? That picks up this book? Okay. So his target audience is new to Christianity or wanting to learn more about the faith a little bit, and also like how to decipher the identities that we get into, the temptation of walking into, right? Instead of our identification in Jesus. Is that right?
Yeah. Maybe not new Christians per se, but when you write a book, when you create something, you have sort of the target audience in mind. And so I originally had this as a college class that I taught when I was doing college ministry. So I'm kind of thinking that kind of young vibe. A lot of the kids in the college ministry had been Christians all their life, but now they got to like figure it out on their own and be their own person. And there's a lot of different pressures when they're out of the house, so they have to make decisions for themselves about, do they do these kind of activities? Do they think this way? Do they go to church, etc.? So I'm kind of thinking of that kind of person who maybe has been a Christian for a while, but can use this encouragement to throw off the bad stuff and put on the good stuff. That's the basic premise. And yeah, it's written more as a kind of a study material. They make a great class or small group study or something like that.
Yes, it sounds like it. It sounds also like it's more tied to that age, and my daughter's in that age group. So, and I've been doing youth ministry for a while now, but it looks like it's more along the lines of either freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior of high school, and then it could be that younger college level, or if you're in tech school or whatever you're doing with your life, and you're desiring to figure out who God is to you and what your identity is for yourself versus what your parents told you versus what your grandparents told you versus what the world has told you a Christian is supposed to be. Here's these steps to take to look at yourself and figure out who you are and whose you are in Jesus. Is that better? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I'll have you write the back cover copy next time.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I can help. I can help too.
So Danley, and Lucas, which one of you are gonna do the I am Batman?
I'm Batman.
That was good.
Yeah, I leave all Batman stuff up to Danley. I'm not a DC guy, so
I also do a pretty good
Amen.
Morning.
A what?
Nothing.
What did he say?
I will tell you, he's not wrong. He does nothing very well. Few people I have seen do nothing quite as good as Danley. As a matter of fact, he brought his bag of tricks up here the other day, and it was just a giant bag full of nothing.
Thanks,
so
buddy.
It was really good.
Cammie's got a good question for you, Jake. She says, as an adult who is strong in faith, can this book be beneficial to me as well?
Yeah, that is a good question. Like I said,
good job, Cammie.
You always write something with a certain kind of person in mind, but it can still be applicable to all sorts of people. And I think it'd be beneficial for anybody in their faith journey who just kind of needs that reminder of sort of the direction to go in. I write as a youngin, and so it kind of feels weird to be able to give wisdom to those further along the path. But I am a fan of intergenerational kinds of cooperation like that. So yeah, I do think I have some good thoughts that I've gleaned from others who are older, wiser than me that I can then pass on to people anywhere in their faith journey. So just older than me.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so
I'm 23 years old, so
yeah, he's
most
a baby.
People interact with these kids older.
Yeah,
he's just a baby, but it's okay. We're not going to discredit you. Paul raised Timothy up from a teenager in his walk with God, and
that's
so
true.
And Timothy was put in charge of the church of Ephesus. Don't let us forget that part. So
Timothy was put in charge of the Church of Ephesus when he was 40.
Yeah,
So
I know.
Yeah,
in 17 years.
He's-
young person in the Bible has kind of really means like, yeah, but still.
I was fixing to go there, but you already took it. So, Jake, I think though, to just slightly pivot and like caveat to what Cammie was asking, you know, even if we're strong in the faith in certain areas, there's always that gleaning of wisdom that we can get from other people, no matter what stage.
Sure.
You know, it's that intentional, remaining teachable at all times, you know, decision. And I really think that that's something that your book will cater to regardless, because there might be a mask out there, 1 in 7 masks that stick out, but it's that one mask that someone hasn't addressed or unrooted or healed from or what have you, that could answer someone's, you know, hindrance or stumbling block that they got going on right now in their walk. So I think it's really good.
That's the hope, you know.
Yeah.
You hope your words can speak to somebody as an author, and you know, even if not everything lands, at least something will.
Yeah.
That's the hope.
Yeah. So do you guys actually, with those serious hosts that you have on your show, like, do you actually get serious for like even half of a smidgen of a second at all?
I think that's a very difficult time to quantify. Half a smidgen of a second at all is numerically difficult to come at. But
yeah,
I think
convert that to the metric system. What would?
Yeah. Time's not metric, Josh. So if
military, we need military time. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean we're on Central at 20:45 right now as we're doing this live on Wednesday night. No, there are moments when we get serious if it's appropriate. Because for instance, there are questions that I have about Jake's book that since you've come on our show, Jake, I'll ask you in a minute. But I want to give Danley an opportunity to answer this question as well. Danley, are you ever to be serious for a smidgen of a second at a time?
Half of a smidgen of a second.
Half of a smidgen.
So I think there are definitely times that that being serious and taking the moment seriously, probably like I am now, is appropriate. I will say that my wife was on just a little bit ago. She's chronically ill. We've battled her being sick for a very long time and nearly dying. So anytime that I can avoid taking something seriously and just enjoy the moment and laugh, that's what I want to do. So with our guests, I like having fun. I love having comedians on because I think that's so important, especially right now with the pandemic and everything going on in our country. And laughter, I think, is so important. So certainly there are serious moments, but I like having fun.
Yeah.
That's
if you
good.
watch or listen to the show, they actually do let the guests do a lot of the talking. They don't interrupt as much as on a live stream.
It's only when they're on someone else's show do they interrupt.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's we at least my theory is that it's on the host to get the good content out of the guest. Whether that's asking questions or letting them talk,
what are you trying to say about April?
He threw me under the bus. Did you see that? It went.
No.
I would actually say that you're getting good content out by letting us just be some jackwagons for a little bit.
Yeah, I like that word. I'm not gonna say it myself, but that's funny. That fits perfectly.
Yeah,
it does. I think for us the biggest thing. So we got the opportunity early on to consult with a lady that I actually went to church with in Canada. She's a Canadian Broadcasting Hall of Famer. Her name's Lisa Lacko. She used to work for the Canadian Broadcasting Network. She's a wonderful lady, absolutely brilliant, and she really instilled in us early on the value of research. And how researching your guest is like having an invisible army with you. And that's been, I think, one of the biggest things for our show that's made it, even though we haven't experienced like huge success, but it's made it successful. It's made it fun for us to do the interviews. It's made it great for the people that listen, is we know what our guests are talking about. There's, I think, too many people hop into doing interview podcasts or interview shows and things like that, and they really don't know much about their guests, where the majority of the time we've read 1 or 2 of their books if they're coming on. If it's a comedian, we've watched their stand-up, we've listened to the stuff that they've put out there, listened to other podcasts and things that they've been on. So we ask questions that they're not familiar with, the hosts knowing. And, with Nancy Piercy, to go back to that interview's coming out in 2 weeks, she got a scholarship to play violin, and is a world-class violin player, even though she's a professor of apologetics, and that's her main thing now. So a lot of our questions in like the controlled rowdiness segment, after we had some very serious conversation with her, were about, if she could beat the devil in a violin competition, if the devil played violin, and things like that really just caught her off guard. But we're part of the research that we did in the beginning. I think that's been a really big thing for our show that's made it successful.
So where did that question get inspired from? I know the song, and I know that you're living down in Texas,
it came from Cigar Talk.
That's really where it came from. I guess early on in our podcasting career, we met a guy named Steve Ryder, who used to work for Dr. James Dobson. He owns a production company in Colorado Springs, or the Colorado Springs area. And Steve started an organization called the Never Alone Project. Steve's wife, Elizabeth, was just a wonderful gem of a lady, and ended up dying during the early months of the pandemic, and was never actually allowed to have a friend or a family member or anybody come and be with her at the hospital. She was also battling chronic illness, so she had no advocate that was in the hospital for her. The hospital she was at, because the illnesses she had was hours away. So Steve was gracious enough to come on our show to talk about those things. But near the end of the interview, he starts talking about a group of Christian cigar smokers called the Holy Smokes Club, which is absolutely hilarious. It's a great group of men and women from around the world. There's over 4,000 members that are part of it. And Steve runs the Holy Smokes podcast. And so Danley and I, after a lot of our time sitting around doing what we do for the show, or brainstorming or things like that, will come up with the best worst ideas ever. And that is where that Nancy Piercy question came out of. She had to kind of spoil the interview a bit, she has a book called Saving Leonardo about Leonardo da Vinci. And we asked her about a new marketing campaign that has something to do with the Ninja Turtles, to see whether or not that could be helpful. So all of those things just kind of come out of those times when we're, overtired and just tossing around bad ideas.
It's part of my favorite part, is just sitting around chatting and making jokes and joking around about stuff and writing them down, and you get a million bad ideas and 100 good ones.
That's awesome.
we do. Jokes are a new thing that we're trying. We started. We've got a new concept podcast that we're working on called The Bible But Funnier, where we tell Bible stories and we just insert fart sounds.
Fart jokes.
That's it. That's it. So
real classic.
we
in Jake's defense, that is not what goes on his podcast show. So Jake, tell the audience, I'm gonna mute these guys and pull them off the show again here for a second. Tell them what your show's about. You have a podcast show. So.
Yeah. Well, I might not be the one, doing all the jokes on this podcast. I tend to be an ambivert, which is a real term in between an introvert and extrovert. So I kind of, if everybody else is a little rowdy and crazy, I actually go the opposite direction. But that's a different story. So my podcast is called The Bible But Funnier. And I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory on purpose. Like, we just tell Bible stories, make them funny, crack some jokes, kind of try to take some of the natural humor in a lot of these stories and just bring it to the surface and add some other little jokes in there. I'm just all about making faith accessible. And so that's why I'm really interested in humor and comedy. I have a secret Podchaser list. Big Podchaser fan. I think that was already mentioned earlier. And I have a secret list that has a bunch of actually your guys' podcast episodes. It's just about kind of humor and faith research and different things like that. Because one of these days,
and what not to do, right?
Well, there you go. Yeah, one of these days I would like to write a book project, kind of exploring like using faith in communication. And so, you got stuff like the Babylon Bee and things like that are obviously would be featured in there. So
Yeah, we're in the chapter called Cautionary Tales. The Reverend and the Reprobate. Yeah.
The postscript is like,
Mhm.
well, now here's
Don't
what to do
do.
with information. Here's what not to
Yep.
do.
A whole list of what not to do. Rev and rep right there.
Yeah, it's really, it's always helpful to have a bad example. You know, there would never really, there'd never be a Gallant if there wasn't a Goofus. And so that's where we come in.
Got you. So,
There you go.
what would
That's
be
our
the
niche.
what would be the best takeaway that the audience can come away with that's actually quality value content from this particular episode about your podcast?
Follow your dreams. If your friend calls you to start a podcast and he's got a great name, you just say yes.
There you go.
Just
Start a podcast.
Just start. Look, just start. I cannot tell you how many. I'm going to get on my soapbox now. I cannot tell you how many videos I've seen that I watched before starting, that people that were successful with it, that were in the million subscriber YouTube, that had said, "Hey, look, you just got to start." Gary V, says, "Just put it out there. Just start. Put content. Just start. It's going to suck in the beginning, and it's going to get better." So you can look back a year after you've been doing it and go, "Hey, look at how much I've improved." But you got to start. So if it's something you want to do, even if it's not podcasting, if it's not YouTubing, if it's something if you want to learn guitar, go ahead and start. Go pick it up.
Yeah.
April.
I like how I'm getting put on blast here. I knew, just like that whole thing about like interviewing people that you have researched. I heard that, Lucas. I just want to throw that out there. I mean, yes, I did not interview. I mean, I didn't research either, y'all. And I know Jake because
that's actually a good thing. That's a good thing because we don't want people to listen to our show.
Yeah, no. And I think the more research you do on us, the more unimpressive we become. We're great in small spurts, but over, if you listen to 2 of our podcasts, we hope that you keep the subscription because it helps with our sponsorships, but you don't have to listen.
You're
smash that like button.
Yeah. I think the biggest takeaway I would want people to see, especially from our show, is don't get trapped. So often when you're creating content, people tell you that, like, if you're wanting to monetize it, it needs to be like the niche of the niche of the niche of the niche. And I would say that our show is maybe the most niche show that's out there because we make our show for 2 people, and that is for each other. It's for the people that I think are interesting and funny, and the people that Danley thinks are interesting and funny. And then, to look at it from a biblical perspective, because I know that this is a Christian audience that you have. Obviously, our audience is Christian. Jake is sorting out his salvation, but he's wrestling with it with fear and trembling. And so as we are working all of those things out, as we look at a holistic worldview of those things from a biblical perspective, is that you're commanded by Jesus to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, all your strength. And if you're creating something, then do it that way, with every bit of who you are. And our podcast has people that are, world's strongest men competitors and power lifters. We've had poets, we've had writers, we've had comedians, we've had people
Mink
that
trainer.
are, yeah, a guy that trained mink. We had one of the guys that is the world's foremost expert on historical weapons recreations. Just all of those things. If it is something that's interesting to you, it's because you were created in God's image, and it's because as the physical person that you are, and the spiritual person that you are, the emotional person that you are, the mental capacity that you have, all of those things are working together for you to function in the purpose that God has you for. And whatever it is that you're going to go after, all of those things have to work together. And our podcast, that's what we try to do and to communicate.
Nice. So you actually got serious. See, I'm here and looking at your guys' body language in the background here in the broadcast studio, and I am trying to interpret whether or not there's a punchline or not on any of these. But when you threw down scripture, I was all in. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna listen, because you can't be like funny. You can't be messing with God's word. So you better be on point in this show.
Yeah.
But that was good. I really like that. I really like that part of it. You guys have both I don't know if this is common, and I hope that you're not shocking your audience at all right now, but you both have shared a little bit of a heart behind what you do. And I actually, funny enough, have a segment called Heart Behind the Worship on my podcast show, which would be right in line with what you guys just said, what Jake said. Everybody's just in tune. So I guess I need to like do a standing ovation or something. I don't have the sound effects gizmo. Does anyone have a Zoom P4 hooked up right now? Nothing?
No.
Oh, okay.
Where's Paul when you need him?
Exactly.
Yeah, no kidding.
Exactly. That piece of equipment, though, if anybody's like hearing me right now for my birthday, I'm just saying, it's coming up April 25th. You know, you can like order me one
Your
on
birthday's
Amazon.
in April?
Right?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Oh, should
Typical.
I? Yeah. No, it's not typical. You know why?
You got to make the whole month about your birthday, huh?
That's
That's what my wife does too. She's like March the whole month.
No,
Well,
my
I got
family.
this new thing. It's like what just happened? Oh, it's my birthday month. What do you mean it's a month?
Mine's a week.
Birthday month.
We do
just get a
weeks
week?
here. Yeah, no, we do
We're
weeks
good.
here. Yeah, I'm not
Because it's a
that
slippery
bad.
slope to
I
a
just
birthday
do like
year,
half a
and then-
year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Did he say he does 6 months?
He did. He did. He does 6 months.
You know, eventually you're gonna have to figure out what you want to do with your life, Jake.
I do. I want to do everything. That's what I've decided.
You can't spend
I
6 months out of the
refuse to
year
choose.
celebrating birthday. It doesn't work.
Well, right now it's just my wife and I, so she gets one half the year, I get the other half. It's really easy.
Jake,
April and Jake, it's been a pleasure having you guys on our show tonight. We really appreciate y'all coming on, the Reverend and the Reprobate. Make sure that you check out Jake's new book on behavioral science and identity called Where's Your Mask? He talks about how a person can identify themselves in 7 ways from a biblical perspective using thoughts, behaviors, and feelings.
You listened.
I did. He ignores created order a little bit, but him and Francis Schaeffer are going to have that conversation later. April's got a phenomenal podcast where she interviews people. She's using some cutting edge technology. Her daughter's a phenomenal guitar player. For the Reverend and the Reprobate, I've been Lucas Pickard. Danley, it's been a great episode.
I've been Danley.
Is that what he normally does on this show?
How do we
Hold
click
on a
in?
second. All right, bye.